Imagine driving your car from point A to point B. You have a destination, you have fuel, you have a working engine, but your dashboard is completely black. No speedometer, no fuel gauge, no engine temperature, no warning light. Could you still drive? Sure. Would you eventually get there? Maybe. The chances are you wouldn't know the speed at which you're traveling, and you wouldn't have any insight on the overall health of the car. This could make you carry a problem long enough to create permanent damage. But where am I going with this, you might ask? This is exactly how most small businesses operate. They're busy all day, answering emails, posting on social media, taking calls, attending meetings, working hard, but they have no idea whether any of those activities are actually moving them toward the goal. That's where KPIs come in. And today, we're going to discuss what KPIs are, why they matter, how you can combine them with my one goal, four task framework to save time, money, and a lot of frustration. KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. That's a fancy way of saying what number tells me if I'm making progress. A KPI is not a goal itself. It's the measurement of progress toward the goal. For example, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds, your KPI might be body weight. If your goal is to increase sales, your KPI might be revenue. If your goal is to generate leads, your KPI might be the number of qualified leads each week. The keyword here is key. Not every number deserves your attention. A KPI should directly connect to an outcome you care about. Because if you're measuring everything, you're effectively measuring nothing. One of the biggest problems I see is businesses confusing activity with progress. They assume that because they're busy, they're moving forward. But activity and progress are not the same thing. Let's say a business owner spends 2 hours posting on social media, 1 hour answering emails, 1 hour redesigning their website, another hour researching competitors. That's 5 hours of work. Sounds productive, but what if none of these activities generated a single lead? What if sales didn't increase? What if revenue stayed exactly the same? Then all that activity produced zero meaningful progress. Without KPIs, you don't know what's working. Without KPIs, you're guessing, and guessing is expensive. It costs time, it costs money, and eventually it costs motivation. Now, here's where people make another mistake. They discover KPIs and suddenly create a giant spreadsheet with 37 different metrics. Website visitors, likes, comments, shares, followers, clicks, watch time, bounce rate, open rate, conversion rate, and a dozen more. Then they spend more time tracking numbers than improving the business. That's where I prefer a simple approach. And it starts with one question. What is the single most important outcome right now, today? This framework is simple. It starts with one goal, not 10, not 5, one. Ask yourself, what is the most important result that would create the biggest positive impact right now? In your case, it might be generate 20 new leads per month, signing 5 new clients, increase monthly revenue by 2,000, book 10 consultation. You pick one, then identify the 4 biggest impact tasks that contribute directly to the accomplishment of this objective. That's it. One goal, 4 tasks. And this idea comes from the Pareto principle, the concept that roughly 80% of results come from 20% of action. Most people spend their day on the other 80% of activities that create very little value. We're trying to identify the critical few actions that actually move the needle. Once you've identified your goal and your 4 tasks, you need a way to measure whether those tasks are working. That's where KPIs enter the picture. Let's say your goal is generate 20 leads per month. The 4 tasks might be publish 3 educational videos per week, reach out to 10 prospects per day, ask every client for a referral, and follow up with old leads every Friday. Now, we need KPIs. Possible KPIs could be number of leads generated, consultation bookings, conversion rate, revenue generated per lead. Notice something? We're not measuring likes. We're not measuring how busy we feel. We're measuring outcomes, because outcomes tell us whether the system is working. Most people think KPIs are just about measurements. They're not. They're about decision making. When you track the right numbers, you stop making emotional decisions. Instead of saying, I feel like social media isn't working, you can say, social media generated 12 leads this month, or it generated 0 leads for the past 3 months. Now you have data, and data helps you make better decisions. You know what to keep, you know what to eliminate, and you know where to focus your resources. That's how businesses save time and money, not by working harder, but by removing activities that do not produce results. If you have to take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Your business doesn't need more tasks. It needs more clarity. Start with one goal. Identify 4 high impact tasks. Choose a few KPIs that directly measure progress. Then review those numbers consistently, because what gets measured can and will get improved. And when you combine focused action with meaningful measurement, you stop guessing and start building a business that moves forward with purpose. If you found this useful, like, comment, subscribe for more. And remember, do not measure everything, measure what matters.